Real Talk Sports, baby. We are here. We're making it happen, and I wish I had the mic running for the last 45 minutes. This show starts on a sour note. One of our lead analysts, Mr. Vincenzo Fernandez.
Hello.
I said, hey, man, let's go ahead and knock out a sports show. He said, man, there's nothing to talk about. Oh, really?
Hey, man, the end of the finals, the end of what, mini camp for football. You got baseball, Euro 2012.
Hey, man, you got Euro soccer, man.
Hey, Wimbledon.
When Dale Earnhardt Jr. is leading the headlines, you know that.
Hey, man, we gonna get it cracking. So I digress. Let me introduce the players. As already finally stated, we have Mr. Vincenzo Fernandez.
Hello, people. What's going on?
And never to be forgotten, Papa, the donor of life, Mr. Luis Fernandez Sr.
The prolific one.
The prolific one. We running in threes today, baby. We got the dream team. Shout out to our video editor, Wolf Griffin. He's somewhere in the world.
Oh!
Handling business, making contact, hopefully finding us some money.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to keep this thing rolling. Now, these two gentlemen on the show with me had a great debate going. And we were talking about the NBA draft that's coming up. You know, supposedly Anthony Davis is the lock for number one. He'll be going to the Hornets. And we got into a little bit of a debate about the talent coming out compared to the past, the 90s particularly. So, fellas, I'm going to go ahead and step back.
Go ahead, Pop. Tell them what you told me, man. Like, you know, I feel like the last few years we've had solid talent. I'm not saying it's out of the ordinary or it's been great, but, you know, I feel like these players aren't terrible. A lot of these players are becoming all-stars.
That's my whole point. These players are not terrible. That's like finding a girl who has a great personality.
But
all right.
My whole beef with your argument is that. Well, let's talk about our arguments right now. Me personally, I feel like the NBA draft isn't the greatest talent pool in the world. You have a lot of players who come out their first years when they shouldn't.
They come out after their first class.
It is a problem. But I can't sit back here and tell you that some of these players who come out after their first years aren't great players. The Derrick Roses, the Kevin Durants, the Blake Griffins, the Kyrie Irving. Some of these guys are very good. All right.
There's talent there, but you're talking about the tippy top of the draft. I'm talking about the 10th, the 12th, the 15th pick.
Man, but historically, the NBA draft has never had huge amounts of talent.
Andrew Bynum was number 11 in his draft.
Because he came out of high school.
Amare Stoudemire.
Another one who came out of high school.
Kobe Bryant. Wasn't he 17th pick in his draft?
These are players who were coming out of high school. These are players who, if they went to college, they would have been top picks. But they did it because they came straight out of high school.
But you see, they were that high in their draft because the talent had been watered down to the point where they would still be top 20 picks even though they're out of high school. They would have laughed. I mean, Bill Willoughby back in the day was the first cat who came out of high school, and I think he was somewhere around number 20 in his draft. He amounted to absolutely nothing.
Bill Willoughby.
Okay?
I gotta look him up.
He was one of the first cats who came out of high school. If I'm not mistaken, he might have been the first one. I'm just going off the top of my head. But he amounted to absolutely nothing. Because kids who came out of high school in them days, they didn't have a chance against these kids who went and spent 4 years, the Tim Duncans of the world. You know, even Magic, as great as he was, he spent 2 years in college. Okay? He wouldn't have even bothered going to college now. All right? I mean, it wouldn't have even been a point of contention. But my point is that the Kyrie Irvings, They're good players. They would have been in the top 10 back in the day. He would have been in the top 10. But now, hell, man, he's the number 1 pick in the draft. He's the, uncontested rookie of the year.
So what do you think if Kyrie Irving would have failed, say, in the 1990 draft?
Well, we were talking, what was that? Derek Coleman, Gary Payton.
Yeah.
Who else was in that?
Chris
Jackson.
Muhammad Abdul-Raouf.
All right? And my contention is that Chris Jackson, when he was at LSU, man, was every bit as good as Kyrie Irving ever was. Okay? He spent 3 years in college. So by the time he left, he was a complete player.
See, my whole contention is you have a lot of players who you don't see their talent in college. So when they do come out of these schools, I mean, you don't see the extent of their talent in college. You'll see the extent of their talent in the NBA. All right, when they're trying to gain experience. Like players like Eric Gordon, who fell out of the top 10, right now are very good players. But you would have never thought that seeing them out of Indiana. You would have thought, oh, he's very talented. No one ever thought that he was going to be as good as he is now. Players like Brandon Jennings coming out of Southern California or the Compton, whatever school he came out of in Compton. He went to Europe for a while. He came out and nobody expected him to be as good as he is. I'm not saying these players are great, but these are starting caliber players.
That's my point. It's like the top 10 of the draft lottery right now is a joke. It's a joke.
So give us a few of those players that's coming out this year, man.
This year, man, I actually watch college basketball. I actually know who these players are.
So you saying Dad over here don't watch no college basketball?
I mean, how can you talk about the NBA draft and the prospects coming out if you don't even know who the prospects are? You only know about them through ESPN analysts.
Because these guys are gonna be D-League All-Stars. They're going to be the 10th man on they're going to be the 6th man on the bench.
I absolutely
shout out to Hasheem Thabeet.
I absolutely disagree. I think in every draft there's always going to be that bust. Those guys, the Adam Morrisons, all right, who are just terrible, who end up not as good as the hype, But I'm not going to sit here and say that a lot of that the top 10 of this draft or the little mock draft I'm about to give you are going to be bad players. I think, to me, this draft is one of the deepest drafts. I actually took the time to watch the college basketball this year. I saw the NCAA tournament. I saw some of these players. And I have my opinions about them.
Who was in the finals this year? Kentucky
versus, I think it was
Weber State.
Was it?
Yeah, my point exactly.
Was it Kansas?
Yeah, I don't think it was Kansas.
My point exactly.
I know Kentucky won. But I know the game was extremely lopsided. The game was extremely lopsided.
Oh, yeah. Kentucky supposedly their starting 5 are going top 10 in the NBA.
Yeah, the whole first round is basically made up of Kentucky players.
Like I said, it escapes me right now who Kentucky beat. But Kentucky, that team Kentucky.
And that's my point exactly.
We've covered a lot of information this morning. There's a lot of things going on. So answer this for me. Anthony Davis is the lock for number 1. What's his ceiling?
I feel that Anthony Davis, I feel like that he's too hyped up. I think he's a great shot blocker. He's epic talent, One, I think he's too skinny. I don't think he'll be able to handle the NBA. Him being 6'11" and him having to be a post player, he's going to have to learn the post, and his post moves aren't excellent. They're below average, I would say. He has a decent jump shot, but I'm not going to sit here and want Anthony Davis shooting threes for my team. He's an epic shot blocker. He's a great defender. That's really his claim to fame, that he's a very good defender.
So who could you compare him to?
Serge Ibaka. And where did he come out in the NBA, in the NBA draft?
But see, Serge Ibaka is totally different than Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis can ball handle way better than Serge Ibaka. Anthony Davis has some ball handling skills. All right, he has ball handling skill comparable to that to a guard. You know what I'm saying? But at his size,
but he can't shoot. So who can?
See, he can shoot. He's
so
a
when you
decent
talk about
jump
size
shooter.
Like that and length, you think like a Kevin Durant or like a Kevin Garnett? Like,
I would say he's more of a Kevin Garnett type.
Okay.
All right, except that I feel that his jump shot is more pure than his, and I don't think that he has as good as post skills in the paint as KG did.
Okay.
Oh, so Kevin Garnett's shot is more pure than his. Is that what you're saying? Or his shot Davis's shot is more
Davis'
pure
shot
than
is more pure than Kevin Garnett. Because that I wouldn't trust Anthony Davis taking jump shots for my team, mainly because I think he could be more epic in the paint. You know, I feel if you're a big man, you need to be in the paint.
How tall is he?
6'11".
Okay.
He's 6'11". He's a big guy. I think he's going to be very good. I think he could be an all-star in 2 to 3 years, no doubt. You know, but it's just that it's going to be mostly because of his defense.
And who is supposed to be the second pick?
Well, let's just go down the list, all right? A bunch of people said to be going second. You got Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, another player out of Kentucky, you know, small forward, about 6'6", 6'7", you know, good ball handler. I'm not a big fan of Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. He's a good talent. I just don't think that he's an epic scorer. He's an epic defender. He doesn't do any one thing great. He does everything
Good.
well.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? He's solid all around, but he doesn't do one thing great. All right, after that, you got a guy, Thomas Robinson out of Kansas, 6'9", explosive. That's him. He's explosive. He can score with the best of them. You know, get him in the paint. He reminds me a lot of LeBron. When he's in the paint, it's hard to stop him. You know, I feel that he's explosive, but his defense is lacking. He's a solid rebounder. He's not a great defender. He needs to work on that. You know, there's a lot, but like I said, these are college guys. He's one of the few college players coming out this year who didn't come out after his first year. So he has some college experience, so it probably will help him in the NBA. After that, you got a player, Bradley Beal, coming out of Florida.
Bradley.
Another
Freshman, right?
Freshman. He's a big time scorer. 6'5", 6'4", 6'5". Guard, combo guard. You know, he's an epic shooter. I would say he's the best shooter in this draft. You know, these are the top 4. After that, you have people say there's a downfall. You know, but there are a lot of players you can put in this next after the top 4. You know, who are very good players. You have players like Jared Sullinger out of Ohio State, 6'9", big man, reminds me a lot of David West. You know, plays under the rim though. That's his one big problem.
Drummond.
Andre Drummond, center out of UConn. Young guy. I felt that he needed to stay in UConn a little longer to perfect his art. About 6'11", 7 foot.
Didn't Shane Thabit go to UConn?
Let's not get into this shit.
I'm just going off the numbers, you know.
Well, I think Andre Drummond, he's a lot different than Shane Thabit. He actually has an inside post game that, you know, of course he needs to perfect it. He's not perfect at it. And UConn disappointed a lot of people last year.
And I only keep bringing up Shane Thabit because he was so hyped. The year he came
I
out.
didn't think he was going to be that
He
good.
was so hyped.
I never thought he was going to be that
And he got drafted high.
Second in the draft.
Yeah, he got drafted very high and ended up getting put in the D-League.
I think he's on the Rockets now.
Think?
Maybe.
That's my whole contention is that these guys are definitely, you know, they're definitely set up to be all-stars in the D-League All-Star game. I think the D-League is they've made it a lot easier for the scouts for the D-League in order to fill their roster.
These D-League rosters looking great.
But how can you say this, but you don't know any of these players? You've never seen them play.
That's my whole point.
What do you mean?
I don't care.
Okay, you don't care, but that doesn't take away from the fact
These
that
these players aren't jumping out at me. They're not.
You've never seen them. You've never watched them.
I've never cared to see them because
Then how
they're
can you-
playing against accountants and proctologists.
Well, you can say the same thing about college football. You can say the same thing about college football. All right, at least in college basketball, there's a smaller roster, so there's a smaller pool of players who are going to be great in college
But
football.
these guys are coming out after they
Because these are the best of the best. The best of the best come out in the first year. Yes, the best of the best. The players who, when they came out of high school, they were top 10, top 25 players.
The best of the best of the best, sir, with honors.
But my whole thing is, you can't sit here and tell me that these players are going to be D-League guys or D-League players are going to be when you've never even seen them play. I can understand if you watch them, all right, and you're comparing them to past time, like, oh yeah, this guy can't play. But you're sitting here telling me you've never seen them play a game, you've never even watched a quarter. All right, the only players you told me you've seen is Austin Rivers, all right, and maybe Anthony Davis.
His father was good.
You know what I'm saying? Like these guys, I feel, are very good players.
So who's your sleeper coming out of the draft? Who you think is going to be a very good NBA player?
There are a few players I like. I like Terrence Jones out of Kentucky. He's a big body. You know, he's strong. He's athletic. You know, he can play. He plays very good defense. You know, I like him a lot. They have him listed as a power forward. I don't think he's a power forward at all. He's a small forward. You know, he's quick. He's strong. he can get to the rim. Let's say that.